Welcome to today's webinar, which is powered by the African Business Portal, where we'll be discussing engaging with the African Diaspora, seeking opportunities and the how-to. Before we get into it, just a little bit of housekeeping. The webinar will be available on an on-demand basis for 48 to 72 hours and expect an email from us. We'll be creating a landing page with the webinar information and additional information that you'll be interested in. And most of the Q&A answers will be done in writing, so you can submit your question, comments, or suggestions from the platform or email to the African Business Portal. Today's webinar will be moderated by myself, Quinton Scholes, currently the Vice President for Marketing and Partner to the African Business Portal. Today's speakers will be none other than Almaz Negash, CEO for the African Diaspora Network, Benson Kazue from the East African Chamber of Commerce, Caroline Karaoke from the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, and Jacqueline Morgani from the Kenya Council of Governors. Well, without further ado, let's turn over to our first speaker. So now we'll turn the time over to our first presenter, Almaz Negash, who, apart from being the CEO of one of the most powerful African diaspora organizations in the USA, Almaz is also the executive in residence at the Lucas School of Business, San Jose State University. What an absolute pleasure it is to have you with us today, discussing what are the desires of the African diaspora and how we unite them with their needs in their home countries. So without further ado, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you. I am delighted to be a part of this webinar. Thank you for inviting me, and I am delighted to discuss what we're trying to do with the work that we do with the African Diaspora Network and Friends of Africa here in Silicon Valley and around the US and the world. I'm just going to do a little bit of an outline. I will speak a little bit about the diaspora impact and opportunity, African diaspora and the governance and what the connection is. And then I'll just finish up by making a case for why it's important to invest in Africa and in her future. So there's pretext that I need to speak about. This conversation is primarily about the contemporary Africans in the diaspora. The historical diaspora are African Americans who came to the United States without their own permission and came here about 400 years ago. But I'm actually talking about the contemporary diaspora that probably dates back to the 1960s all the way through to people who came for education, economical reasons, political reasons, and other factors. And so those are the numbers that I will be sharing with you today, and it's such a pleasure to be able to speak on that matter. So according, in the US anyway, but there are different figures, but I'm using a specific figure right now that states we have by the Pew Research, which is one of the most trusted research institutions in the United States. There are 4.2 million Black immigrants in the United States. That is debatable, but for our case, this makes sense because I'm speaking about the contemporary diaspora, where the countries of origin of majority of the Black immigrants are from the 4.2 million. Where do they come? Jamaica, Haiti, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Trinidad and Tobago, Dominican Republic, Ghana, Guyana, Kenya, Somalia, in that order. Position of Blacks, and I think this is probably one of the most unique things and the greatest advantage that the diaspora, the contemporary diaspora has in the United States and many other parts of the world. But for our case in the United States, education of the Black immigrants is pretty high. In fact, 59% of immigrants from Nigeria have a bachelor's or advanced degree in the United States. Why does that matter? That matters because now we'll talk about harnessing the resources and capabilities of the diaspora. We're talking about their educational attainment, which is also their economic attainment in the United States. So where I live in California, The immigrant by number, it's less than 200,000. And again, this is also debatable. Why is that debatable? When people fill out forms in the United States, they fill out forms as Black Africans. It does never ask me whether I'm American. I am just pretty much put African American or non-Hispanic, and that kind of sometimes doesn't give you the exact number. But for right now, we're working on the less than 200,000 in California. Most of us come from Eastern Africa, some from, and then the second one is Northern Africa, Western Africa, and the Middle and Southern Africa. I think this is the other important thing that I gave you the numbers in terms of education and population, but what does that mean? I think the key finding study has been an African immigrant household contribute billions of dollars to the US economy. To be clear, actually, it's about $55 billion, according to New America research, which was also done by Pew Research. The second important thing is when we talk about harnessing the resources, again, we have to go back to what does it mean? It means that Africans from the diaspora are able to contribute not only to the continent, but also the communities in which they live. And we've contributed tremendously to the US economy and other economies where 3 times than what parts of from the developed countries. The majority of the funding goes to Nigeria, 22.3, Liberia, but what we don't see is Egypt, which is part of the second largest after Nigeria is Egypt, and then of course Liberia. The issue with remittance, as good as it is to give to family, one of the biggest problems with remittance is it's not scalable. And that is what ADN is trying to do. Can we figure out other ways to provide support to the continent? And that would include a lot more work and a lot of study, but we can discuss that also during the conversation. Places of birth of where I am in the Bay Area, here in California, a lot of the people come from Ethiopia. You may have heard recently, Ethiopians from the diaspora have been contributing tremendously to the development of their country. They're very proud of the newly found opportunity in the country, and Ethiopians from the diaspora by far give huge amount to the development of the country. And there's a lot of investment going, not only from non-Ethiopians, but also from Ethiopians to Ethiopia. And I think over the next few years, if the trend continues, we will be able to see a huge investment from Ethiopians to Ethiopia. The other good thing about Ethiopia right now is the government has an intentionally built diaspora engagement program that is run through their embassies, but also from the country. Of course, they still have a long way to go, but Ethiopia, Nigeria, and I believe Ghana, South Africa, and Kenya, they have a very good relationship with their diaspora. And that's very, very critical, not just only asking money from the diaspora in the way of remittances, but also the African governments have the role to ensure that they have intentional collaboration and open up opportunities for their diaspora, because one of the biggest challenges that diasporans like us face when we go back to our country of origin or other countries within Africa is we don't get the same treatment as probably other foreigners will get. And this is an issue I believe many different African countries will work on, but luckily it is beginning, and I am very happy to see some change taking place. The top sending immigrant to Santa Clara County, also this is the Silicon Valley. Why is this important? Because I think this is the center of entrepreneurship, center of investment, and also this is our home office and our headquarters for the African diaspora. We have highly educated Nigerians, Kenyans, Ethiopians, Sudanese, and others in Silicon Valley who contribute to their country, but also who have made it possible for the African diaspora network to stay for 8 years, moving to 9 years, and the commitment to not only to these diasporans, not only to their home country, but also to Africa as a whole is so critical. But the other thing is this community in Santa Clara County, it's pretty well supported by the county. The county is very, very involved in the work we do. In fact, in our network, the supervisors of the board of Santa Clara County is involved, and they're willing to support us financially. Why is that important for the diaspora? The diaspora is a reflection of the community in which we live. It is not one or the other. We come from a certain country, but we belong to the communities in which we live. I personally believe that I have the responsibility to contribute to my community, which I do, and many of us do. So making our community being able to send money, remittances, or invest in Africa. So as ADN, don't see these two things as different. They're actually one of each other. The more the Santa Clara County, Silicon Valley is thriving, the better it is for the African Diaspora Network, and the better it is for the continent. So we try to make sure that these two things, we're pretty much part of both. It's a complex thing, but we have figured out, like many other immigrants, to be able to live in both places, because both represent to us. We belong to both places, and it's a beautiful thing. Actually, it's a great honor to be able to do what we do from where we are, at least in my case, from Silicon Valley. The diasporans leading the way. So in our case, we like to spotlight and highlight Africans who are making African diaspora and the continent proud. Usually our stories are told by others, and they really probably mean well, but they don't know us. But what ADN is trying to do is also tell our story in our own way, and then show the impact that we make. For example, for the African Diaspora Network, we kind of depend on the brightness and also generosity of our diasporans. And I mentioned a few of them here. Josh Gaim, he is the Chief Technology Officer at Johnson & Johnson. He's on our board, generous with his insight and generous with his funding. Why is this important? I wanted to make sure that people understand the African Diaspora Network is in existence because of the generosity and the faith of the diasporans that have each other into the continent. We still have a long way to go, but I want to give them the benefit of our community and also thank them for what they do. At its core, what we're trying to do is make sure that Africans collaborate with each other. And it's not just one country I come from and that's the only country I care. No, we are actually saying the continent is one as a whole, and how can we make sure that we all collaborate and make a difference. Our other sister, Dr. Musembi Kanyero, she is the CEO of Global Fund for Women. In fact, this is her last month, and we wish her the very best as she retires and goes back to Kenya. Why is Musembi important? She is the most active woman in terms of human rights and women's rights, but also she is a founding board of the African Diaspora Network. She has funded the organization from its inception. Shom Dejin is Chief Technology Officer at Goodwater Capital, an incredibly brilliant young Ghanaian, lives in Silicon Valley. Very much critical aspect of the Silicon Valley work is the venture capital, and he's in it. At the same time, he cares about the continent, and I'm very proud to say he is our chair of the board, contributes his money, his insight, and the solid commitment to ensuring that our young African entrepreneurs also thrive. He does that every year through the African Diaspora Network. He is the one who pretty much helps us put together the builders of Africa's future, which I will talk at the end of the my presentation. Aishatu Fatima Dozie is another passionate global financier, and she also has been in the finance sector for many years. She just finished, she's from Nigeria, and she just finished at Stanford University. She was one of the, she participated at a program, in last part of her work as a distinguished career fellow. and she is now starting a new business. Why is that also important? Because Aisha too is from Nigeria, trying to contribute to her community and then the country where she came from and the continent where she came from. I gave you a sample of the East and West, but where many other people also contribute. These diasporans are sample, but they're not there, but they represent our passion and vision for the continent. And I really do admire the work that is being done by Africans from the diaspora. Having said that, we still have a long way to recoup and to really advance the cause that the diasporans care about, but also to make sure that remittances are scaled, and that's very critical for the development of the continent. I do believe that the diasporans, as we all know, will be contributing more and more to the continent to the countries where we come from, and then the continent as a whole. And I believe also that it's not just to me, but the world believes in Africa, and it is truly the frontier, and with the youth that is supposed to be the largest number of the population in the continent. We all have the responsibility to invest in African youth, and to do that, the African Diaspora Network is committed to bringing at least 10 per year, 10 from the grassroots organizations. These are entrepreneurs working on healthcare, education, employment, and other sectors in the continent to come to Silicon Valley to showcase the work they do, and we hope to find them investors so they can thrive and really sustain their work. Why is that important? Because I think the more Africa invests in youth, the better the continent's future will be. We also believe that investing in these young entrepreneurs in the continent will make a huge difference in the future of humanity as a whole, because Africa is now going to be, by 2050, more than 2 billion people. And so we can look at that as an opportunity and invest in youth. If we don't, I think the challenge will be pretty heavy. And I'm very delighted to take any questions you have, but I thank you very much for the opportunity. And we are looking forward to working with all of you to make sure that the community we all care about is sustained and thriving. Thank you very much.
Well, Almaz, thank you. I mean, that was such valuable information, and specifically, you know, the power that the African diaspora plays towards foreign direct investment into Africa. You know, through the presentation, you alluded to, and I saw the kind of the motto of the African Diaspora Network was to inform, engage, and act. And I think act is such an important part of everything that one needs to do from the African perspective. What would you say are some of the steps that we still need to do in order to reduce the barriers to trade and investment between the continents?
I think we need to continue to engage corporations and investors intentionally. I will give you an example. For example, September 17, we will be hosting a conference in Washington, D.C. Our sponsor for that conference is Symantec. Symantec is a local corporation in Silicon Valley, focuses on security. I think many of us know we use their software to protect our viruses or other things in our computers. Why is that important? We want to make sure that corporations like Symantec know about the continent and invest in the continent. It will take a long time, but our job is really to engage. And I think we know this. There is no rush here. We must do it deliberately. That we need to. The more we let them know about what is possible, the more we demystify the challenges that the continent faces, the more the corporations will invest. It is not going to be a sprint; it's a marathon, and we have to continue to do this one piecemeal at a time. But it will take time. I do believe, though, companies will invest. To your question, I think it's engagement and awareness. We need to create awareness about what's possible, engage them, and also we have to be humble and honest about the challenges and opportunities in Africa. We have 54 countries. We need to look at it country by country, at times region by region, and still we should be able to engage. And I think the more the corporations, at least from where I am in Silicon Valley, the more they know about the continent, I do believe the more they will invest in the continent.
I couldn't agree with you anymore, and I think that brings us pretty much to the end of our time. So it's all about engaging, acting, and we're living in a world of digital transformation, and there's so many access to markets through virtual networks, and we look forward to working with you and partnering in the future. Thank you very much, Maz, and
thank you very much.
Glad to have had you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So our next speaker is Benson Kazue, who has been a valuable member of the African Business Portal. Benson currently resides in Texas, but is a Kenyan at heart, an acclaimed entrepreneur and owner of Big D Finance. Benson's also the founder of the East African Chamber of Commerce and now the chair to 6 regions within the African Union. Amongst many other attributes, Benson has also supervised the construction of water reservoirs in Kenya. Benson, wonderful to have you with us today. You'll be discussing the impact of the Diaspora Chambers of Commerce in connecting African diaspora. So now's a good time to turn over to you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate African Business Portal and for giving me this opportunity to discuss about the initiatives that I'm driving here in the U.S. As I said, I'm the founder of East African Chamber of Commerce in Dallas, and I recently got appointed by the ambassador of African Union to lead an initiative which is called the African Diaspora Initiative for Development. I'll discuss about those items very quickly. My job as the chairman of this initiative is to organize Africans in my region, Region 6, which is highlighted, is to just put them all together so that we can be properly organized in order to develop our region. And we can talk about that some other time. There are several things that are leading to this to the African Union wanting to do this. And those things are basically the issues that need to be addressed by the Africans themselves. And they are just quickly the 9 points I have here, which includes capacity building, poor drugs, affordability of housing, water, and so forth. The African Diaspora Center of Excellence will include these items when it's constructed. There'll be about several of them built in Africa, intended to get people to go to those centers and live as if they live in developed world, and they'll be open to all Africans, all children of Africa, not just the Africans, but African Americans or Caribbean, anybody. We believe that Africa, in order to develop Africa, we have to be organized. Diaspora has to be organized in order to move Africa forward in terms of development, and that's what we are added, and that's the purpose of the initiative I'm driving with the ambassador and African Union backing from all the leaders. So that's that. I want to talk a little bit about an event, an activity. An organization I've been leading for 13 years. I've been involved with it. The East African Chamber of Commerce. We an organization that is nonprofit, and our purpose is to promote trade and investment between U.S. and East Africa. We have 5 member countries represented, including the Americas. This year, we are going to Kenya to do a trade mission. This is the first of its kind that we are doing. We never done this before. Last year, we were challenged to do it. It's going to be in Nairobi, in Westlands. So please join us. We are coming there in collaboration with the Council of Governors Kenya and the United States Trade Department. They're coming with us. They're going to help us in our recruiting. Look forward to seeing all of you there. We have core values and synergies that we always work with when we are doing these initiatives. We bring people together and create a marketplace for them to trade. And these are the core values of the process that we go through closing deals with them and determining where the synergy, and we go for that. So it will not be different. It'll be the same thing we've done in Dallas for the last 13 years. Now, our trade mission, we intend to leverage our network that we had with U.S. commercial services and the business people in Kenya and business people in East Africa and business people in the U.S. We'll bring them together. The diaspora will come together and be a part of this particular conference. We invite you to come and work with us and participate in what we're doing in Kenya. The trade mission will focus on the Big Four agenda. There will be affordable housing, water solutions, finance, energy, healthcare, manufacturing, food services, tourism, and ICT. Those are the areas that we'll be focusing on this trade mission. And then, of course, we can take on a safari in Kenya. Our future for the chamber is to expand across the world, be very vulnerable. Like any other chamber, has ever done in diaspora, we are the only chamber that does events of this nature in the US. We want to start doing these events in Africa every year, and want to start doing these events also in Europe if we can. But we intend, these events helps us promote our countries, and we'll start rotating these trade missions in East Africa. But Kenya's trade mission is going to determine how the future looks of this particular event. We're excited to go to Kenya with our people, and we are looking forward to seeing you there in Movenpick. So we don't have there's not a whole lot left in terms of what we need to do. This is my final comment is to invite you, all of you, if you have interest in those areas of discussed this admission, to contact us and go to our website and register and become a part of what we're doing, or contact us, call me, and I'll be very happy to discuss with you further how you can participate if you don't get enough information on our website. So thank you so much, Lee and company, for allowing us to be a part of this. And I look forward to talking to you more. Thank you.
Benson, thank you so much. I think the message I got out of there, that was that the future is bright. Africa's on the move. I think it's fantastic that we have as a continent the support of the president of Kenya. If I may, ask you one question. What advice can you give young African entrepreneurs or startup SMEs in Kenya, in East Africa?
Thank you very much, Quintus, for that question. I will give them a couple of items. One is they need to not give up. It's very easy to be, to give up when you're working so hard when you're young and think that the future is going to be just bad. And I think they need to continue to work as hard as they've been working. And secondly, they need to get organized, meaning whatever they are selling, whatever they're manufacturing, they need to get that patent out so that nobody's going to steal it from them. People do that all the time. They need to protect their property, whatever they're manufacturing. Secondly, they need to get a good mentor who can help them, and that mentor will be a driver for their future. And fourthly, they need to get involved with networking events like this, and also participate in African Business Portal activities that are there that can benefit from them.
So the message is, don't give up, work harder, and bring a strong mentorship base around you. Thank you for your time, Benson. It's been fantastic. If there are any further questions, we'll be answering that at the end of the session. And that was great. Thank you. So I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Mrs. Jacqueline Morgani. Jackie is the Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya Council of Governors, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and a human rights specialist. Jackie also holds a master's degree in international studies and a Bachelor of Law, both from the University of Nairobi. Today's discussion will be on how to access quality projects that create a need and an opportunity for the African diaspora to connect. So without further ado, I'll hand over to you.
Okay, thank you. There has been a lot of pressure by the Kenyan diaspora community to ensure that the government of the day realizes the role of the diaspora in contributing to development in the country. And this finally led to development and launch of the Kenya Diaspora Policy in 2014, which policy spelled out how the diaspora could engage with the government of the day. And Kenya has continued to make impressive progress in strengthening investment climate, mainly to position itself as a regional hub with significant improvement. In 2019, the World Bank ranked Kenya number 61 out of 190 countries, as a country that has significantly improved from position 80 to position 61 on ease of doing business. And also, at the same time, the World Bank was able to give the clear picture of how the diaspora, people in the diaspora, Africans in the diaspora contribute to growth of development within the continent, with remittance of about 40 billion US dollars. And so Kenya is eager that the African diaspora should invest back home, and it's creating an enabling environment for that to happen by going for trying to bridge the gap between access or to quality projects and creating a need and opportunity for African diaspora to connect as a result. So the country is working on ensuring that there are quality projects that would be attractive for investment for the people living in the diaspora, and that people are able to get value for money. So why then, therefore, would we be saying, please invest in Africa? And I think it speaks for itself. Africa is the emerging continent. There are many opportunities in Africa. There's a workforce. Labor is cheap in Africa. Opportunities are available for investment. There's natural resources, plenty of natural resources that has not been tapped on. There is a very young population and who are eager to work, and a lot of resources that have not been discovered that can actually be utilized and utilized for the growth of the continent and also the world in general. And so the issue that we need to be addressing in terms of how do we then get the Africans who are once said to have dispersed from Africa to the world to talk together and pull together. It's about harnessing the effort, harnessing the opportunity of the diasporians, the way we would say it. Kenya will seek to mobilize and engage diaspora members so that they can be able to participate in development initiatives, and they can be able to be a linkage between the diaspora members and their countries of origin. But most importantly, that there will be a degree of integration in the host country, and that the people in the diaspora will not only invest back home, but they'll also use their own networks that they have created in the diaspora, and the knowledge that they've also created in the diaspora, and the networks that they have. So basically, Kenya will be seeking to tap onto the technical expert networks, to tap on the investments that are there themselves, the resources that they've raised, so that they can use this to be able to grow small cottage industries back home. In Kenya, these cottage industries are called, we call them the informal sector, the Juakali sector. The Juakali sector is where a lot of innovation happens. There's a lot of creativity. There are young people who are employed in the informal sector, what we would call the Juakali sector. And a lot of resources are remitted from this sector that are critical to the growth of the economy. And so the diaspora would be encouraged to also invest in this and improve the products that come from this. So just linking the opportunities that are there in Kenya with the opportunities from the diaspora, and ensuring that the country moves together in an inclusive manner. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that, Jacqueline. I think that was super informative. And if I may ask, what would you say is the role of the Kenya Council of Governors in the promotion of the diaspora investments into Africa?
Okay. The Council of Governors has a Trade and Investment Committee whose role is to mobilize the diaspora to be able to invest back home, in this situation to be able to invest in Kenya. It also acts as a point of knowledge because it has all the 47 county government profiles that show opportunities of investment and what is required. And also at the same time, the council helps the diaspora to link with other agencies that may be needed if they want to do investment, national government agencies. Therefore, it acts as a an information portal, but also a portal for reference and backstopping for the diaspora team.
Fantastic. So you really structured as a support mechanism and willing and able to assist. I think we'll leave that now until we have Q&A session at the end. And thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us today. We are happy at this time to introduce Caroline Karaoke, CEO of the Kenyan Private Sector Alliance. Caroline is a graduate of the University of Nairobi and has an MPA degree from Bowling Green, University of Ohio. She serves as a board member for over a dozen major institutions. Caroline is accredited with transforming KEPSA into one of the most influential organizations in Kenya, and globally, she's the recipient of many awards and commendations. And without further ado, I'll hand over to you. Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, thank you. So I'll begin by introducing KEPSA, Kenya Private Sector Alliance, which is the apex body of the private sector in Kenya to drive economic development through year-on-year improvements of the business environment by addressing cross-cutting business issues, driving investments, and addressing socioeconomic issues with different partners around the world. To achieve this, we advocate government to influence better policy and regulatory conditions in the country in favor of the private sector. By addressing socioeconomic issues affecting the country by enabling businesses to set up and grow, we help create wealth and jobs for the benefit of all. Our work further seeks to improve productivity, competitiveness of our businesses, and efficiency and governance in public service delivery that improve the livelihoods in our society. And we're also looking at the region and Africa as a whole. Next. KEPSA represents business associations and corporate bodies, both large SMEs and startups, to speak in one voice and working closely with government and other stakeholders in structured public-private dialogue, platforms, and other engagement mechanisms with agencies and other governments. Current membership of KEPSA is over 500,000 direct and indirect members organized through business, industrial associations, federations, and corporations and corporates, including small and medium-sized companies. We have a special membership category for startups that caters for micro enterprises that are just starting. The membership of startups in Kenya opens for them opportunities to foster growth and scale up. Next. Our largest business associations have a membership of about 3,000 to 6,000. They include Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Architectural Association of Kenya, Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, Kenya National Farmers Federation, and many more. Next. KEPSA screens potential members to quality checks, such as compliance with regulations, for instance, proof of registration with the Registrar of Companies, which has to be valid, proof of tax compliance with a valid and current tax compliance certificate from the Kenya Revenue Authority, list of directorship for transparency and integrity background checks. Next. When it comes to the US diaspora, they can participate in investment forums organized by KEPSA to increase investment in the host country. This can be achieved through business-to-business partnerships, direct invest in greenfields, joint ventures, public-private partnerships, among other investment areas. KEPSA, for example, continues to partner regularly with the American Chamber of Commerce to host investment forums in a bid to attract investment. Next. The US diaspora in Kenya can also join KEPSA's leadership organs, such as sector boards, and can also be appointed to the board of KEPSA, same as the business associations of KEPSA. And through these avenues, they can inspire new ideas and support the organization through thought leadership towards economic transformation of Kenya and expanding partnerships between KEPSA and the US businesses. Our focus when it comes to the African diaspora, we do through partnerships on working to create a business enabling environment, focus on the business environment and investments into the country, strategic partners in the US. Apart from the US Chamber of Commerce, we also work with the BCIU and with the CCA. We also coordinate cross-cutting issues that affect business investments and growth. Next. The more united the business associations are, the stronger the voice to engage and influence policy. It will be so difficult to speak in unison and engage policymakers with a more fragmented and segmented private sector. There's no need to create new organizations because we already have industrial associations in all sectors, and the US diaspora and get encouraged to utilize the existing organizations. The policymakers have also shown intention to engage with apex bodies like ours here in Kenya, KEPSA, and many others around Africa.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Delighted to have you as part of this presentation. If I may, let me ask you one question. Organizations such as KEPSA exist in other countries, as well as in Kenya. How can these types of organizations assist the diaspora in their business ventures in Africa in making them profitable?
Mm-hmm. So that's true. We have similar organizations like in the region. Each country in East Africa has an apex body, and then we form an umbrella body called the East African Business Council. So the same work we do at KEPSA in helping diaspora, the US diaspora, and other diaspora in terms of investments, these same apex bodies do the same, but we also meet at the East African Business Council to be able to do that. We're in the process of looking out at all the other apex bodies in African countries. Not all African countries do have apex bodies, but many do. And we're trying to see how do we meet together under the African Union to be able to do the similar work. And especially now with the coming into place of the African Free Trade Area. So we'll be doing a lot more on that in looking at other parts of Africa beyond East Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for that wonderful insight and to hear the incredible story that and the success that you've had with the Kenyan Private Sector Alliance. Please stay with us as we turn shortly over to the Q&A session and look forward to answering all your much needed questions and insight into the African diaspora.